Glad to have you back. You're watching Arise Africa. Now to the rest of the stories. The purported rape by Busola Dakolo by the pastor of the Commonwealth of Zion Assembly, Koza Biodun Fatoyinbo, as was contained in a series of allegations which became public last week, has been attracting a head steam of reactions. There has been condemnations by a cross-section of Nigerians of what many regard as a deep-seated and widespread problem. Allegations of rape are usually not popular in Nigeria because of socio-cultural considerations, and disclosures such as Bukola's are even more uncommon as a result. Now, what stands out, though, is that Mrs. Dakolo's disclosures are still what they are, mere allegations until proven beyond doubt by a court of competent jurisdiction. Now, to throw more light on this and the issue of verbal and physical abuse, we are now being joined by Tokan-Lawal, an associate of AELEX, and she represents private individuals as well as companies at the federal and state high courts and superior courts of record. So I'm sure you can go to her after this, but she joins me now to discuss some trending legal issues in Nigeria. Thank you for joining me this hour.
Thank you for having me. Well,
trending legal issues in Nigeria. Let's start with the rape allegation of Busola Dakolo against the Koza senior pastor. Let's start by asking, how do we define rape? What constitutes rape and who can be raped?
Well, the rape falls under state jurisdiction. So most states have varying laws, but generally the definition is sexual intercourse with a woman or girl without consent. So there is that element of penetration, and then the elements of women or girl, and the final element is without the consent. So obviously children, certain people below a certain age cannot give consent. However, interestingly, it's only Abuja that has a law that actually makes rape applicable to male or female, not
exactly.
just
I was going to ask you that, you know, people do get raped by the same sex,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's only Abuja, and why is that so?
They have the law, it's just state law, so varying states. So in Lagos, for example, now we have the criminal law, which defines it as a rape of a woman, sexual intercourse with a woman or a girl without consent. So, but in Abuja, it makes it either way.
Do we have an age of consent in Nigeria?
Technically, we do not. So it depends on the states. But generally, we can say 18. However, other states, there are some states, for like example, Kwara is 16, and there are other states that have even 14 as an age of consent. But in Lagos, is 18, you have to be at least 18 or over to give consent.
And we know that Busola alleges that she was raped at the age of 16, going on 17.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
However, she did state that that was in Kwara, so we also have to look at the state law.
All right. Who makes these laws that affect sexual and physical abuse, and as well as underage abuse?
Well, the state's houses of assembly, because these things fall under the state's jurisdiction. So for the state's houses of assembly, we have the child rights laws that are applicable in various states for underage. However, in Abuja, it's the National Assembly because they have the purview of making laws. The National Assembly has purview of making laws in the FCT and Abuja.
Well, it's been about 9 years since this allegation is said to have taken place.
Yes.
We know that Busola finally decided to go to the police just before granting that interview. How will such an investigation go, especially as it appears to be her word against his?
Yes. Well, usually it's the police, they have to do the best they can with what they've been given. So it's the evidence that they can get. Right now, if there was any pictures or medical evidence that she had gotten at the time, or people that saw it, so eyewitnesses, those are important, and those that she reported to, and what was done about it. I mean, usually in situations like this, it's always good to get these things documented as soon as possible.
How do you say eyewitnesses? I mean, usually there's never anyone else, you know, when rape occurs.
This is true, yes. But I mean, but situations, there may be a video of the occurrence.
Okay.
So those kind of situations, or somebody that saw it immediately after. So maybe it happened and then she ran to someone immediately after. Those situations, yes.
And then we know that she was raped within 4 days twice.
Yes, she mentioned that.
That's the allegation.
Yes, she did.
Okay. Pastor Adeboye, I must mention this. He has actually lent his voice to this allegation, and he says, when a woman accuses you of something, nobody is going to listen to you. Is that our reality in Nigeria?
Unfortunately, I don't think so, because if that was the case, then every single allegation of rape would have been led to a conviction or something similar. So I don't think it's that straightforward.
It's
It's not about a woman's say against a man. I think it's just credibility at the end of the day.
And what's the punishment for such a person if found guilty?
It's if found guilty for rape, it's life imprisonment, but some states also have 14 years.
Okay, can you shed more light on that? Where is it life imprisonment and where is it 14 years?
In Lagos states, it's life imprisonment upon conviction.
Yeah.
And then in other states, it's 14 years upon conviction.
Okay, and we know that the state where this occurred was Kwara State, Ilorin to be precise.
Yes.
Yeah, what law applies to that?
That'll be the criminal law of Ilorin.
Okay. And what age?
The age of consent there is 16 years of age.
Age of consent is 16. How long will be the punishment if found guilty?
It'll be life imprisonment.
Okay, Kwara State has the same law as...
No, they have their own state law. It's similar. So we all have various states have their various criminal laws of the various states.
Okay, let's move on now to the physical assault by Senator Elisha Abo, the senator representing Adamawa North. His is a case of physical assault. What laws apply to him?
It's the criminal acts, actually, because he's in the FCT Abuja.
Okay.
So that would be the criminal act.
How serious does the law view physical assault, for instance? How serious is it?
Well, it's very seriously, because I mean, even from the Constitution, you are entitled to your dignity of your own self. A citizen is required to respect another citizen, the dignity of another citizen.
Okay, and what steps should an assaulted person take in seeking justice, trying to get justice?
Well,
what do you do?
It's always important to have it documented and then reports as soon as possible, even if, I mean, you may be scared or you don't know if you'll be believed, but I mean, if you don't have, the police can also do so much with what they've been given. So if you have the pictures, you know, or the actual evidence, I mean, if you show up with the bruises and somebody else, other eyewitnesses who saw it, you know, just to help the police have a good case so that they can easily prosecute. All
right, will this be a slam dunk case, considering that a video went viral and the whole nation was able to see it? Will there be much to investigate?
Well, it should be a slam dunk case, but in a situation where we may have technicalities brought up by the lawyers, so if the evidence is not handled carefully, it may be struck out by the courts, because the courts can only do so much of what they're given.
And lawyers have so many technicalities, you know, we all know
unfortunately,
that.
I mean, everyone is entitled to a fair hearing and to adequate representation, so his lawyers will do the best that they can, and her lawyers will also have to do the best that they can.
When we have actually seen a video of the action happening.
Yes, that's why I said on technical grounds.
Yeah, and then when you say technical grounds, what are the possible scenarios?
Well, the Evidence Act provides for elements to be proven in admitting documents such as this. So if these are not met, it's possible that the court will say, you know what, it's not been admitted adequately as required by the law, and that's unfortunate. Yes.
And he can walk?
He may walk.
Yeah,
yes,
wow, that's interesting. Law is very, very tricky.
Yes, this is why it's good to have good representation from the beginning, analyzing the evidence, knowing how to have it admitted, you know, preventing any other unforeseen consequences brought by the other side.
A prima facie case has been established by the police against the senator, and he has posted bail. I mean, that's not difficult to do considering he's a senator. Do we have a different law or punishment for lawmakers who break the law? Does he retain his seat in the Senate, for instance?
Well, unfortunately, the law applies to everyone equally, supposed to. I don't know how the National Assembly is going to deal with him as the National Assembly, but generally the criminal law applies to every individual, from the president to the person on the streets, equally. Supposed to, at least. Interesting.
Well, Tokwe Tokan-Lawal, lawyer, I'd like to thank you for shedding so much light on the trending issues we have in Nigeria.
Thank you so much.